The movie begins with the release of a book called Daedalus in France, eagerly awaited by everyone for its third volume. At the same time, the old man named Fontaine is the bookstore owner who introduces the author of Daedalus to the publisher named Angstrom. After 2 volumes have been successfully launched, Angstrom eagerly anticipates the third volume of Daedalus. The scene then shifts to Portugal, introducing a woman named Thelma. Then, it moves to Denmark, where we meet a mother named Helene, who has to leave her husband and children for a specific reason. After that, the focus shifts to England, where a man named Alex Goodman is newly picked up. Following this, we meet a German woman named Ingrid, a Spanish man named Javier, an Italian man named Dario, and a Greek man named Kadrinos. Then, there's a man from China named Chun, and a woman from Russia named Katerina. Each of these 9 individuals has a purpose they are moving towards, and they all come to France to meet Angstrom, the publisher of the book Daedalus. Upon arrival, a servant greets the 9 individuals. They undergo thorough checks before entering, with strict rules prohibiting phones, flash drives, or any other items. They can only bring themselves and their translation skills. It's revealed that their task is to translate the book Daedalus into 9 different languages. After the strict inspection, they aren't immediately put to work, but instead receive briefings on their assignments. Not placed like people who can work anywhere, the 9 of them will be invited to enter the secluded part of this building. After going down several stairs and navigating through numerous corridors, they eventually reach a password-protected door. Beyond the door, it lies a special bunker equipped with facilities to prevent fatigue during their isolation from the outside world. Interaction outside is restricted to prevent spoilers, and the 9 individuals must focus solely on translating the book Daedalus. To ensure security, each of them will have a dedicated bodyguard from Russia to monitor their every move. Following the servant's explanation, Angstrom finally arrives. At that moment, he informs them that the third volume of the book Daedalus has 480 pages. They will receive only 10 pages per day, meaning it will take 48 days to complete the translation. After that, Angstrom warns against any misbehavior during the translation process, emphasizing that it could endanger not only their careers, but also their lives. Once again, it's stressed that Daedalus is the world's top-selling and most desired book. Translating it into 9 different languages from French requires precision to ensure no confusion and accurate interpretation of every word. Additionally, Daedalus isn't just a fictional story. Each page is filled with poetic French sentences. Each translator has their own way to maximize their work, but still, the target time to finish 10 pages is 1 day. During lunchtime, they all gather to share stories. These 9 people are treated exceptionally well, like very important guests. A highly paid job, despite having very high risks and working under the strictest system created by Angstrom as the publisher. At that moment, Kadrinos from Greece honestly admits that the only reason he's interested in staying in this bunker is because of the high payment. That view differs from Katerina, who admits to liking the content of the Daedalus book. Katerina really wants to meet Oscar Brock, the author of the Daedalus book whose identity has never been known to anyone until now. Sometime later, they're nearing the end of submitting the 10th page, where everyone is concentrated on their laptops. It can be said that translating this book is notably challenging, but Katerina is deeply moved by the writing in the Daedalus book, to the point of shedding tears. After that, Angstrom arrives with a suitcase containing something urgent. At that moment, all eyes look towards Angstrom, because it turns out the collection method is very unique, with a flash drive lock that has been flagged from 9 different countries. With that, whatever has been translated by those 9 individuals will not leak at all. Only the publisher knows, and there will be no spoilers appearing in public. Angstrom also explains that tomorrow there will be another 10 pages that Angstrom will provide, but for now, everyone must focus on resting first and keeping their minds away from what they have been working on before. And after 8 hours of rest time passed, the second day begins. They successfully pass another 10 pages quickly without any obstacles. Time feels short, and the 9 individuals still have 46 more days of work ahead. They feel nothing but gratitude for being able to work like this despite the high demands. The same thing is felt by Angstrom as the publisher because of the extraordinary success of the Daedalus book. Angstrom even does not need sales from other books, as he can become rich just by relying on sales from the previous 2 volumes of Daedalus. Until one day, Angstrom, who is busy eating, starts receiving incoming emails. The emails that Engstrom never thought of before while running a career as a book publisher of Daedalus. It turns out, the content of the email is a serious threat related to the spreading of the first 20 pages of the third volume of the Daedalus book. As a result, an immediate search is conducted, where Engstrom gathers the 9 individuals while explaining that the extortionist demands a ransom of €80 million. If not sent within 3 days, the extortionist will publish the first 20 pages the next day, followed by 100 pages the day after. At that moment, the 9 individuals are shocked to hear the threat, but Engstrom believes that among the 9 individuals, there is one infiltrator who managed to uncover and spread data related to the content of the third volume of Daedalus. Upon hearing this, Dario from Italy agrees to search for the main perpetrator. Meanwhile, Kedrinos seems to laugh because he finds it funny, but he's quickly stopped by the Russian bodyguard. Similar incidents happened with Alex Goodman, who tried to help Kedrinos. In this situation, Engstrom did not want to give the infiltrator a chance to confess, and Engstrom wanted to find out in his own way. After that meeting, a mass search process was conducted, but in Ingrid's room, the bodyguards found nothing. The same goes for Dario's room, where nothing suspicious was found. However, in Helene's room, the bodyguards a hidden pile of papers written in Danish. Helene then admitted that it was her own novel. It turns out, Helene likes to write novels, and she doesn't prioritize her job as a translator. Unfortunately, Engstrom, who understood Danish, said that Helene had no talent for writing, and she should stick to entertaining instead. After dealing with Helene, the other 8 people still speculated about who the real perpetrator was. After that, they glanced at each other suspiciously, ultimately suspecting one person, Javier, the Spanish man who always wore a bandage on his hand after falling off his bike. At that moment, Thelma even tried to tear off the bandage, thinking there was a gadget inside. But it turned out there was nothing, and Javier himself was genuinely in pain. This tense situation was affecting everyone, yet the real mastermind remained unknown. On the other hand, Katerina began to approach Alex, because she was curious about how Alex could be invited in, considering Alex was picked up while sleeping on the side of the road. Upon hearing that question, Alex immediately began to explain. Where 11 months ago, Alex was actually a regular person who was a fan of the works of Oscar Brock, the author of Daedalus. At that moment, Alex intentionally translated volumes 1 and 2 on his own to meet Oscar Brock, by making translations far better than what the translators had done at the time, from French to English. As the results, many people commented and suggested Alex as a replacement translator. Right in front of Engstrom, Alex boldly claimed he could predict the first sentence of the third volume of the Daedalus book. Engstrom was curious and tell Alex to write it down. Obviously, it couldn't be exactly the same, considering the book hadn't been released yet. But in fact, what Alex wrote immediately stunned Engstrom. Alex explained that this happened because Alex saw the first sentences of the first and second volumes, then combined them like mathematics. After that, the scene switches to Dario, who begins to smell something foul around the library room. Upon investigating, he discovers that Helene had done the unthinkable using a rope, leaving her husband and children whom she will never see again. This mental pressure must have occurred after Helene successfully translated from French to Danish for the first and second volumes. But in the third volume, Engstrom's words deeply affect her, leading to her despair. Following Helene's death, suddenly a loud voice is heard from Engstrom, who receives another email from a mysterious person where 100 pages were leaked online just 10 seconds ago. Strangely, no one was holding a gadget during the time of crisis. Engstrom himself becomes furious and accuses everyone in the room. After that, Alex is beaten until he struggles to breathe. The same goes for Kedrinos and Ingrid, who are threatened to the point of trembling. Surprisingly, Katerina was shot in the stomach by Engstrom. Not only does Katerina face danger, but Alex also finds himself in a similar fate, except the bullet is aimed at his chest. Engstrom suspects both of them, recalling their conversation from the previous night. However, for his actions, Engstrom is immediately threatened by his own bodyguards, and at that moment, Engstrom will be taken to the police station. Fortunately, Alex survives the ordeal, much to everyone's astonishment. His love for reading books turns out to be his savior, as a thick book shields his chest from harm. In the hospital, Katerina is being treated seriously, as she is entering a critical phase due to severe bleeding earlier. Upon seeing this, Alex decides to go to the police station. After that, the scene shifts to Fontaine, who was previously seen meeting Angstrom. At that moment, Fontaine confesses that he can no longer make Angstrom the publisher of the Daedalus book, because Angstrom prioritizes his profit above anything else. Following Angstrom's idea, for the translators are locked in a bunker, which obviously Angstrom's intention is not to preserve the quality of the content of Daedalus itself, but Angstrom is more towards anticipating a reduction in profit due to spoilers. As the only person who knows the identity of Oscar Brock, Fontaine says that Daedalus is no longer about quantity. Regardless of spoilers, people will still seek the book. However, Angstrom reacts aggressively, pushing Fontaine, who tragically loses his life after falling down the stairs. Before departing, Angstrom seizes the opportunity to erase all evidence and steals a copy of the third volume of the Daedalus book. After that, Fontaine's shop is burned to the ground, leaving no trace behind. The scene shifts to Alex at the police station confronting Angstrom, expressing his anger about Katerina's critical injury. Not only that, Angstrom also has to hear a surprising information that Fontaine is Alex's father. The shop that has stood for 40 years witnesses Alex's growth. And the reason that Alex loves books very much because of Fontaine's sincere role in appreciating every writing. As time goes by, Alex is immediately moved to no longer position himself as an admirer of written works, but Alex immediately becomes a book author. And all of that starts with Alex writing a book called Daedalus, revealing that Oscar Brock is actually Alex Goodman. As the result, the terror in the bunker continues to unfold without the need to steal the manuscript or take any other action. Before being taken to the police station, Alex, as a fan, had already instructed fans of the Daedalus book scattered across various countries to terrorize Angstrom. It's clear that Alex was able to guess the first sentence in the third volume of the Daedalus book because Alex is the author of the book. Alex also asserts that he doesn't need the 80 million euros transferred by Angstrom. In the final moments, where Alex's goal is to trick the overly greedy Angstrom, even if it means Fontaine, his father, must die. To accomplish this, Alex convincingly pretends to be a devoted fan of Oscar Brock, eager to meet him. Finally, as time went on, the scenario ran smoother. And slowly, Alex also learned about the background of the translators, information he obtained from his father. Initially, Alex actually intended to trick Angstrom from day 2 to day 48. However, after the casualties, including Helene and the critically injured Katerina, Alex had to abandon those plans. Alex was deeply moved because he knew that Helene had a great talent for writing books, and the same goes for Katerina, who truly understood how to appreciate written works. In the end, after what was uncovered by Alex, Angstrom became very ashamed, and Angstrom had to spend the rest of his life in prison for attempted murder. On the other hand, Alex Goodman, who had been behind the name Oscar Brock all this time, felt satisfied. There's nothing more satisfying than getting revenge on Angstrom. In the end of the film, Alex boldly states that the happiness from all the profits from the third volume of his Daedalus book will not surpass the happiness Alex feels now after imprisoning Angstrom. Moral lesson from the story: always remember, even the fanciest book can cause big trouble. So, next time you're translating, keep an eye out for sneaky publishers and runaway authors.